What's up? We're back. Happy Monday, everyone. Kratz, y'all recovered from Atlantic City? You look good. You look well rested.
Yeah, it's a beautiful weekend. Got to spend a lot of time outside. AC was fun, though.
It was. It was really fun. Who's the best poker player of that whole group? Tell AJ.
Oh, easy. Dylan Patansis.
Dude, yeah, but he does it professionally, doesn't he?
He's not a pro yet, but he can be, I think.
He must have the patience of Job because...
And you know how long you have to sit for that?
Mm-mm.
He's huge. He's
that's
what,
a no.
6'8"?
That's not me.
Yeah. Well, you need.
That's why I let you guys do it.
You need the quicker.
Yeah, I need the quicker
blinds, the whole deal. You need a pitch clock for poker. Yeah,
please. Yeah.
So we
and I need the guy not talking to me and doing the chip thing in your face.
Well, you happen to, and
I'm like,
you had a great crew when you were there.
So over that.
Sarcastic. Yeah. I just want to throw this out there too, just for anyone that has ever been there before. I mean, the valet lost my keys, so that was cool. It was a nice little ride. Has the valet ever lost your keys?
No.
Oh, okay, so it's fun. Yeah, valet lost my keys.
How does that happen?
Just couldn't find it. They misplaced them. They finally found them at the buzzer, but we were at the point where they're like calling me Ubers and the whole deal, and then they're like, "Oh, they were right here." But it was a 14-hour ordeal. So,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so we're good.
14 hours of lost keys?
Yeah, I got in last night, and it was with a valet for a certain reason because they were doing construction, blah, blah, blah. But they were like, oh, we can't find it. We'll hit you right in the morning. Didn't hit me. Panic. Really from both sides. I might have told them I was going to get fired from my job if I didn't get to work soon. It's not like maybe technically true, but I don't know.
So wait, they lost your keys in Orlando?
Yeah, down here. They lost my keys.
Where'd you leave your car?
They're doing construction on the parking garage, so it had to go to a valet that handles moving the car and then moving it back. And during that process, they forgot where they put the keys.
They were driving your car somewhere.
Maybe. It is in one piece. It might be a different car, but they did present it nicely. So here we are. We're back. And lastly, do you know how many 100-win teams we're on pace for?
None.
Yeah, none.
We haven't been on that for a while.
2014. Last time we saw that, so I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool.
I mean, it's parity. That's what MLB wants. That's what like every league is shooting for.
Fans want that because it keeps more people involved.
Yeah, I guess. You also want to every once in a while you want to see a team that's good and just be better than everybody else.
Yeah. So. Well, let's talk about the team that was supposed to be that ball club in the off season when we were talking about them buying everyone. We'll charge the mound.
Charging the mound.
I feel like we do it, every few weeks we remind everyone that there were many fans out there who screamed bloody murder when the Dodgers were adding a bunch of players in the offseason and they said you don't have to play the year. They're just going to win the World Series, and then they forgot this isn't the NBA. So let's start with the juiciest topic. We'll get to Glass now, who's probably done for the year. Do you think Shohei Ohtani might end up pitching in the playoffs this season?
I hope not.
Why?
Because health. Like, he doesn't need to pitch this year.
Because it's too short? It's only been a year?
It's too short, and what happens is, God forbid he goes out there and he gets hurt again. I mean, yeah, he's thrown bullpen. So you're going to take a guy from not having pitched the whole year to we're going to throw him in the highest adrenaline-filled situation that he's never been in and say, go throw an inning or two because they're not going to throw him when the game's not on the line. Mm-hmm. And we know how the Dodgers use their bullpen over and over again. Yes, Shohei has 47 homers and 48 stolen bases.
But no innings.
And zero innings, by the way.
Yeah.
So you're going to take a guy who hasn't pitched in over a year, has never been in the postseason, and say, go throw and try not to hurt your arm again? To me, that's a no. Listen, I get the temptation and all that, but to me, that's a no. It shouldn't happen. But we'll see.
Well, the reason I bring it up is that Dave Roberts on Friday was on MLB Network Radio, and he said, I think that you should always leave some margin, a crack in the door for any possibility. If things line up and there's a need and the game is body, everything's telling us that it makes sense in the situation, great, and it would be storybook. But I think to kind of count on that, bet on that, I think that's an unfair way to go about it. Shohei is on board to just continue his rehab process, and I wouldn't put it past him to have an eye on that. We'll just see how it plays out. See, that's mysterious to me. And I mean, Dave has even lied before. I don't want to say lied, but, remember when Kershaw popped into a game that he said he wouldn't appear in? And I feel like there's been times when we wouldn't get the whole deal on Kenley Jansen, as many teams have BS'd their playoff scenarios. The Brewers with the Wade Miley deal back in the day. So, Kratz, do you buy any of this?
I buy it. Do we have any history of somebody coming back too early from Tommy John? Like, it's not like he's not coming back too early. Do they know, like, who's come back and blown out in the first 7 innings? Like, is that a thing? I mean, we just assume the adrenaline will be too much for his arm, and he's not built up. Do they let him throw 7 innings if he's in the playoffs? Do they let him throw 2 innings if it's just the World Series? Is there a cap? There's so many things that, it's still a month and a half away too. So I assume they're seeing where his bullpens are right now and saying he's throwing 95 plus in his bullpens. Why couldn't we do it in a game?
He lives for these moments too. What if he says he wants to pitch?
Then you go to the play. There's been plenty of instances where people have said, hey, I want to play and I want to do this, but you got to think long term. Mm-hmm. They signed him for a 10-year contract. And also he would have to start the game because if he's DH, right, and he comes in to pitch and they have to take him out, don't they lose the DH?
Yes.
So he would have to start, so he's going to be an opener?
Or close.
Okay, what happens if he blows the save and he's up first and they have to take him out?
Can't do that. It's got to be perfect.
Okay, see, this is all the things you have to – there's a lot more than just – yeah, it'd be cool if he did it, but there's a lot more things. And like Kratz says, have we ever seen anyone blow out? No, but if guys come back too fast and then had go back on the IL for a significant time because they're sore again and because they have problems, absolutely. And we're not even sure – we don't even really know this. I mean, I guess they said we've kind of gotten hints of what surgery he had. No one's ever really said he had Tommy John Part 2. It's been like he had bracing because nobody ever really talked about it. So, again, we don't know, but for me, if Shohei Ohtani pitching an inning or two is the difference in the Dodgers winning the World Series, and the Dodgers have screwed up the entire year. And I know injuries are a factor with Glasnow going down and Yamamoto and this and that. But, again, if it comes down to Shohei Ohtani having to pitch a couple innings in the playoffs for you to win a World Series, then the Dodgers have screwed up.
I heard – so Chris Medlin was somebody who – he rehabbed and he was hurting like as soon as he rehabbed from his first Tommy John. And he knew from his first throw of rehab, something's not right. Now, he came back, he was dominant, and he blew out again. And the only reason he knew he wasn't right was because when he rehabbed then the second time, when he was with the Royals, he was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was supposed to hurt right away. So Shohei's sitting here going, this is how I feel. This is what I can do. This is where we're at today on September 14th, whenever they talked about this. Maybe by October 20th, I'll be ready.
Yeah. Buying that? Yeah, I mean, maybe he hits the timetable he's supposed to hit, and they didn't expect to be in this scenario, but he keeps saying, I'm progressing fast because I'm a unicorn.
So let me ask you this, and I'm not saying this, but let's say those 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever he pitches in this thing, right? Is that worth possibly – yeah, maybe that is his timetable, but sometimes guys rush it. Isn't it worth it better to play this for the long haul?
Yes.
Because, again, you have 9 more years of him.
Also, it's looking less and less likely that the Dodgers are a heavy favorite to win a World Series this year. They just lost their number 1 or 2 starter. Like who's lining up for you for the Dodgers?
But again, Shohei has to start the game.
He doesn't have to. You just have to
dish the DH. Okay, let's say you bring him. You can't throw him in a mop-up inning because then you lose your DH. He loses at bat.
Yeah, it would have to be the 1st or the 9th.
Okay, again, if let's say Dave Roberts does that.
Yeah.
He pitches in the 9th inning. And he gives up, they're up 1 run, and he gives up a home run. And he's up first in the 9th inning. That's his spot. And you have to take him out because he throws 25 pitches, and he's over his limit. Then what do you do? Then what do you hear from the Dodger fans?
Well,
because he's out. So then instead of Shohei up, you have whoever up.
Move him to the outfield.
Barnes, I don't know. Kike, I don't know.
Move him to the outfield. Give him another new.
You're going to put him in the outfield. See how crazy this is getting?
Ohtani is Sandlot baseball.
I'm more on board with him pitching than AJ is. I am not on board with him going out to the outfield. So he can start. It's okay to start. I mean, let's be honest to what else has been thrown out there right now for their starting rotation. It's Yamamoto and guys with a really high ceiling, but they just haven't done it yet. And they have about 2 more starts in the regular season to figure this out. So maybe that helps. Maybe that helps a Walker Buehler to not have to throw the first inning. Not saying he's been like crazy awesome in the first inning, but just saying that, or bad in the first inning, but just saying that maybe that gives them a little bit of a shorter leash where, okay, we only need 4 innings out of Buehler because then we go to the bullpen. I don't know. There's a lot to do now for them.
I just think it's a bad idea.
Okay.
Why are we rushing to get him back? This wasn't the plan before the year.
To do whatever it takes to win a World Series.
Yeah.
We talk about all the time.
What it comes down to?
So let's say they pitch him, they don't win the World Series, and then he's like, yeah, I'm sore and I can't pitch next year. Then what?
Then you mortgage the future for the present, and it didn't work out.
Then he wins another MVP hitting.
True. If he's okay, I mean, depending on
that's a bad case scenario.
Yeah. Okay, so then where are we at? Like, here's layer 2. So Tyler Glasnow is effectively done, right?
Which remember, not long ago he said he could pitch with this.
But clearly there was a problem. I don't know the whole backstory because he hasn't spoken. You know, he didn't speak to the media for a couple of days. Then he cleared out his locker, and they don't know where he is. Or Doc said he doesn't know where he is right now. I mean, I'm sure he went home or something like that.
He's probably frustrated.
He's probably really pissed. So it's Yamamoto who needs to continue to get stretched out. Jack Flaherty's been a dude. Everyone should have been after him at the trade deadline. Dodgers nailed that one. Hopefully Gavin Stone returns okay for them. What are we doing with our rotation? Are we trusting Buehler or Miller, who both haven't looked good? I know Buehler was better last time. Still walked 5 batters. Like, it was better than what it's been. He wasn't throwing batting practice, but Kratz, they're in a tough spot, dude. I mean, where do they rank now? Like, we'll do power rankings tomorrow, but the Dodgers can't be favorites to win a World Series at this point when we're trying to scrap together 3 starters to convince ourselves they can carry them through October.
I mean, not favorites. It's so hard to bet against this lineup. You saw what they did in the 9th inning against Iglesias, who has been one of the best relievers in baseball this year. It's a blip in the radar. I get it. But what can they get out of Gavin Stone and Walker Buehler? Can they get 5 quality innings total from the 2 of them? Because then the schedule works out well for you. I know it's a heavy load to carry for the bullpen. I get that. But you're sitting there going, we're going to go Yamamoto, Flaherty, off day, bullpen is rested. You get 5 out of a tandem start from Buehler and Gavin Stone. I think if you put them in the lanes that help them, you don't let them get the second time through, you're going to have walks, but they're going to get your pitches. They're built up. So you have those guys. They're going to piecemeal that together. They have to hit. Just like any team, they have to hit. They're not going to be able to lean on their starting pitching for sure.
And the Rangers did that. I mean, Ken Rosenthal talked about it on Fair Territory.
The Rangers have more depth options. They had more depth options. Here's the biggest problem that I have with what Kratz said. Okay, great. You go Yamamoto,
Flaherty
1-2. Okay, fine. Yeah. Let's say one of them doesn't have it. They lose. You have to go early to the bullpen. And listen, the Dodgers have tried this for years and years and years. And what happens up happened? They get caught because the guys get tired.
Yeah.
They get tired if you just constantly go bullpen.
Brandon Morrow.
There's a whole slew of them, though. Every year except for 2020, they're bullpen because they got, the one year Rich Hill, wasn't it Rich Hill in the World Series or whoever was like had given up 1 hit, and they're like, 4 innings, let's get him out. And then like game 1 or game 2, and then they're like, and then bullpen has to cover 5 innings. I'm sorry, but you can't keep doing this. You got to get somebody to get you late. And God forbid, let's say Yamamoto's Flaherty starts game 1 and goes 7. Cool. Yamamoto gets game 2, and they need short. And they need to cover 6, right? And then they're going to go this double bull. Let's say Buehler goes out and gets whacked in the first inning. You got to bring whoever in to follow him. Then who pitches game 4?
Bullpen.
After covering 7 innings. See, this is where it doesn't work.
Bullpen.
You got to have somebody in there that can give you long starts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Dodgers keep getting caught and keep getting tired because their bullpen eventually gets wearing out. Yeah, you might make it through the 5-game series. You might even make it through the 7-game series after that, right? But 3, 4, 5 are 1, 2, 3 days in a row, right? And then especially now, let's think about this. Let's say both LCSs are under 5 games and they start the World Series a couple days early. They don't get that extra week off. That eventually, guys, it catches up to guys. And the Dodgers have veteran guys down there. They have guys that have been through this. They got some wear and tear on some of them guys.
You're right. And you know what the Dodgers could really use? A first-round bye. They just dropped 2 out of 3 this weekend to the Braves.
By the way, how
Brewers are right behind them.
Listen, I know that the Dodgers beat up on Iglesias yesterday. They didn't beat up on Schwellenbach.
Mm-mm.
Chris Sale shoved it straight up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they were in a battle last night until they got the big inning off Iglesias, right? So, that Dodgers vaunted lineup, guess who they don't want to see in the playoffs? One of these guys, these lefty guys coming in from somewhere, right? Because they don't do that great against those guys.
No.
And here's my thing. And this will show, to me, this is the difference. And you have to say it all throughout the playoffs. You're facing the best in the playoffs. And the Dodgers, so far in this series, they still have one more game today. And Max Fried doesn't handle lefties very well. So I see them beating Fried tonight. But my thing is, you're facing Charlie Morton in the playoffs. This lineup is built to beat Charlie Morton up. And if they're showing that they're able to be pitched to, I don't see them. You can't beat Sale. Like, Sale has shown he is lights out this year. So to me, this is all on the lineup. And it was on the lineup as soon as they made this $1.3 billion offseason. The lineup needs to produce in the playoffs. I don't care what the starting rotation does. The lineup needs to produce.
Yeah, they're going to have to win some high-scoring games.
Yeah, and their bullpen's not exactly locked down either.
No, it's good. I mean, it certainly improved. They made some nice moves. Like Kopech.
Kopech's been huge for them. Nobody thought that when they made that trade.
They crushed the trade deadline. This is why we talk so much about trades. Yes.
Have been huge for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean.
Edmund, Flaherty, Kopech, all very valuable.
100%. Now, let's look at this real quick before we got to go to commercial.
Yep, last word. What do you got?
If the Brewers catch the Dodgers, that is nightmare scenario. Because then they got to play 3 extra games, and then they might not get like Flaherty, Yamamoto. Like, say they go 3 games, and then they're like, oh, and you only get that one day, and you're like, all right, we're starting again, and we got to start bullpen game 1.
And they're playing the Braves or the Mets most likely in that series, if that's the case. Because you'd have the 2 top wildcard teams, Padres, Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. That's why if you're watching
then they bounce,
now,
and then they have to play the Phillies. That would be the Phillies-Dodgers LCS.
Starting with your game 3 guy or whoever that is.
Or
4, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully 3 guy. Hopefully, I mean, you make it through that series, you're already beat up. It has to be short form. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, Dodgers territory is on today. Good timing for it. 3:00 Eastern. Mondays and Thursdays live with Alana and Clint. So after our show, if you're watching on YouTube, it'll go right to Dodgers territory. They have a lot to hit. And if you don't think watching the last couple weeks of some of these better teams matters, it matters for the Dodgers. They would like to grab a bye in this scenario. We're going to talk to Lance Lynn next on FT in a moment. FT fam, congestion sucks. It can come from sinuses or allergies. It can produce snoring or that really nasally voice. What do you do? I like the way that you pronounce it, Kratz.
Navage.
You sound like a
fancy I have to say, I know somebody from the chat, Ed from the chat, he's been an OG from the chat. He reached out to me and he said he bought the Navage. And he woke up the one morning, he hadn't used it yet. He woke up the one morning and started feeling congested and like his throat was sore. He was like, ugh. He used the Navage twice that day. And he's like, oh, great. This is going to be something. The next day, he reached back out. He goes, dude, completely gone. He said, I don't know if I was outside too much the day before, if I had something coming on, and Navage banged it out. He said, gone. He said he could not be happier with first use. First use, banged it out.
That's amazing. That's making breathing easier. So that's what they do. I'll give you a little word on how they use smooth saline flow and gentle patented nasal suction to clear those nasal passages. You just hold up the Navage nasal cleaner to your nose, you press start, and it effectively unlocks and flushes mucus out from those nasal passages. It works fast too.
It does.
Yes. And
Did you
Kratz
use it,
sounds
AJ?
better today.
Yeah, I tried it.
Yeah.
Good.
But mine, I'm pretty clear though.
Yeah. But you can go from,
okay.
even if you think you're like, oh, I'm great, I'm a 10, you might say, oh, I was actually an 8 and now I'm a 10.
Yes.
Right? So it can make even those perfect genetic humans like a well, I always remember the catchers. They're like, oh, how do you stay so durable? And you're like, I'm just me. But for this, it is drug-free. It uses 99.9% pure saline salt pods, no medicinal side effects. And they want to get you hooked up with a free kit with your order, free cleaning kit at navage.com/FOUL. So that's a convenient Navage starter pack, including a nose cleaner with batteries and 30 original salt pods, everything you need to get started. Plus that cleaning kit as a free gift with your order only if you go to navage.com/FOUL and use promo code FOUL. Here we go. Lance Lynn from the Cardinals back with us and back on a big league mound. So how was it the other day, dude? How you feeling?
I feel good. Obviously, when you get injured and you don't get to play for a little bit, it eats at you a little bit. So it's fun to be back out competing and being able to get outs.
You did the
Thumbs
thing.
up.
Wait, try it
Thumbs
again. You have it on the phone. The thumbs up
Did
thing.
it work?
It worked the first time.
There you go.
There it is. Couldn't tell you how that works.
I don't know either.
There is a setting to get rid of it, but I don't know
Yeah.
what that setting is. So you probably are one of, I would say, a guest a week that ends up having random pop-up emojis. So we don't know if you're real, if you're an AI bot cartoon character,
It's
but
just
the beard
reading
looks
on
real.
thumbs and that. There we go.
I think there's like something in the beard that just
No, because he had his hand like this,
yeah.
Yeah, just
And
hold
so
it like that. Gives
but
you the
his
thumbs up.
your thumb was up. Yeah, so
There
he
you-
just saw it against your
No, it's
black
because he's a
shirt.
thumber. It's because he's a thumber. He used to
Yeah.
throw hard.
Also
Now he's a
true.
thumber.
Breaking balls. Yeah,
Also
that's
true.
Can you
First
explain
time in
to
my
the
life.
crowd what's a thumber for the crowd that's watching? What's a thumber in your
Not
book?
something I've ever truthfully been, but a guy who likes his
Never.
breaking ball, and that's 99% of the league now are thumbers.
Yep.
You're also that now because if you look at your numbers,
No.
you're
No, stop.
I threw 3 breaking balls last game. Out of
Yeah.
Oh,
90
you
pitches.
did good, and you did good. So way to go! You finally got back to your roots.
1 of 3. Got an
How
out.
did that feel? Why are you going back to ditching the breakers? Was that a little pre-coordinated idea?
I think a lot of it's just. I mean, you look at the way it works with my pitch arsenal. It's you call it fastballs, but when you're going cutter, sinker, four seam, 3 different things going 3 different directions, all similar speed. Any hitter will tell you that it's not fun to try to barrel that up, especially if you use both sides of the plate. So sprinkle in an occasional curveball here and there, have fun with it, and then go back to what got you here.
Yeah, but you also have control, so you know where it's going. Most guys who throw and thumb are like, I don't know where this fastball is going to go, so I'm just going to spin something and then spin it again. So you have control, and you are the exact opposite of a thumber. If anybody, that was me joking. JK for everybody who was listening. How much does your arm hurt after that start? After you've been out, or what hurts the most? Not necessarily your arm.
I would like you said, everything kind of hurts a little bit. There's much as you want to like ramp up and try to do everything you can. There's nothing like being on a big league mound and throwing to big league hitters to have that intensity. So the next day was a little grumpy everywhere, walking around, arm, knee, back, everything. But recovered pretty well, and I'm looking forward to my next one tomorrow night. So, but it's just like spring training. You can do everything you want. First time you throw to hitters, it's like, man, that doesn't feel good. And then you get through it, and then the first time you throw in a game, it's like a different set of soreness. And then that's part of the just building up process.
Hey, Lance, I think it's your left arm you have a tattoo, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So on your right arm is that a bruise? Did you get smoked by a comebacker?
That's the cupping. The
does that
cupping
work?
things they do. Yeah.
See, you've changed. You used to do none of that stuff. Now all of a sudden
when you get old, you throw everything at it and hope something sticks.
Okay, because I didn't know if like the catcher threw one back and you tried to missed it or got hit by a comebacker.
No, that's a hey, put some cups on this and move around and hopefully it feels better tomorrow.
You only do it on your arm? Because some people do them all over your back too.
You do back. You can do. I mean, heck, they go anywhere. So they've got. For me, mostly it's.
I've seen Austin Powers. I've seen Austin Powers. Okay, so
there you go. Yeah, it can get going everywhere.
What does it do? Do you feel a difference from it? What does it do? I've seen the guys with the cupping marks, but I don't know anything about it.
Obviously the trainers and everybody thinks it works, but you put it on, you move your arm around a little bit, create blood flow it's all about creating blood flow to the places that need to heal, I guess, and that's one way to do it.
Why are you laughing, Kratz?
Just because what he said, the trainers think it works. Like there's a lot of snake oil that sometimes gets done, and like essentially, like if you read about it, like it basically pulls your skin up and creates a little bit more blood flow in that area, and it creates that bruise. And does that get really deep? What I think Lance is talking about that hurts the next day is not a surface thing. Them deep old bones are hurting.
Bone on bone doesn't feel good.
Yeah, like cupping ain't it.
Oh, well, I forgot to mention, our latest sponsor is Cupping. This episode is presented by Cupping.
Well, no, people do
pull your skin and bruise it a little, and everything will change.
Lance, do you ever do the scraping? See, I felt like the scraping got deeper into the muscle.
Yeah. So for me, I do the scraping first, and then I put cupping over it, and then I start moving it, and then, like you said, throw everything at it and see what works.
There you go.
I like
that.
All right,
I'm going to take it.
Well, hold on. Before he goes, I just wanted to picture this. So, Lance, you're in your sliding shorts, no shirt on, in the training room,
naturally,
which is already an awful sight to think about.
Gross.
And then
the fact that you brought it up means you miss it.
And then you got a trainer with like a metal object, like ripping your skin off, basically scraping. For those that don't know, scraping is like they take like a metal. I don't know. It looks like I don't even know what to call it. Like
you can back of a butter knife. You can might as well use.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, and then same thing to try to get the blood flow. And then he's cupping, and then so he's doing jumping jacks in his underwear with cups on his arm. That's something we need to see.
Yeah, that's a good video.
People pay good money for that.
Do you wear sliders? Or do you wear those long, gross white cotton sliders that they used to hand out in the 90s?
No, I never went there. I'm the tool. I like the tool sheds. I've always enjoyed those. So they've got a touch of they can get how they can get worn out and they can look a little long, but a little bit of both. I don't do the whatever they're wearing these days. I don't even know what they call them. Tool sheds have always been my go-to.
Yeah, no doubt. You get ones you like. All right, we were just before you came on, we were talking about Shohei possibly throwing in the World Series. You came back from a 2-month injury. He's coming back from almost a 1.5 year injury. Is there a chance? Obviously, you don't know Shohei, but in your mind, if you're coming back from his injury, you put yourself in that situation. Are you afraid of getting hurt? And do you say no because of that situation?
So if I'm Shohei, I'm not worried about a damn thing with $600 million in the pocket. I'm going to play.
Okay, fair.
That's just me. But me personally, if I think I can get outs and help the team win a World Series, I'm in there. And then that comes with obviously being able to throw to hitters and do the proper things that you would need to do to be ready for the for the playoffs to help. So I mean, you're looking if you can have Shohei for a 1-2 inning top spurt every third game. I mean that that helps a lot, especially if you got to use a bullpen. You know, if you got to use a bullpen a lot in game 1 or 2, and then he's your back end game 3. We obviously saw him do it in the World Baseball Classic, and it was, it was crazy what he was able to do there. So if he's healthy enough to do that and thinks he can do it, then there's no reason why he shouldn't try it.
Two things. First of all, he got $700 million, so don't sell him $100 million short.
I apologize. That's my bad. I mean, I know he's only.
I mean, for $700 million, you might not pitch. It might only take $600 million.
Forget. He's only making $2 million a year supposedly. So I don't know how he's doing.
Yeah. I don't know how he's feeding his family. And then, second of all, he would have to start. Okay, so he would have to start because
because I mean, you think about it, if he could
bat.
No, you let him DH the whole game, and they did it in the WBC. He came in and closed, and then just
let's say he blows it, and they have to take him out. Then what?
Well, that's what your bench is for.
Oh, so would you if you're pitching? Let's say, nice fly, big fly. If you're in the 9th inning and Shohei comes in with a 1-run lead, and he gives up a homer, and he gets over his pitch count, you got to take him out. He's due up first in the bottom of the 9th. You have to take him out. Would you rather face? I'm going to use the Dodger bench guys: Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez, Austin Barnes, or Shohei Ohtani?
Oh, well, that's a decision I don't have to make because I'm not the manager. So that's the beauty of it. But
I'm just saying,
I hear
if you're pitching there,
that's the risk you run with using him, right? Obviously, if you think he's good enough or he's better than any guy who's been active all year, then you'll have him active in that series. But obviously, he's valuable as anybody in the league as a DH. You don't want to lose that, especially in a playoff game. So, they're going to have that's going to be a choice they're going to have to make come that time. But you definitely don't want to lose that bat. That's for sure. But I've also seen Shohei go throw 100 and punch out the side in the 9th inning too. So he does things differently than most, and you gotta figure out how they make it work.
That's fair. What do you think of when you think of ownership? What do you think of when you think, okay, who owns you in your career?
Oh man, I'm trying to think.
I can give you names if it'll help.
I remember like Votto and Jay Bruce early in my career. I felt like they had like 500 off me, and then later in my career, when I learned the cutter and learned how to get in there a little bit, I had a little bit better success. Those two are the first two off the top of my head. I would go to.
That's good. I mean, Bruce was hit his. He had 1,000 OPS. Votto was 11, almost 1,200 OPS. So Gerardo Parra absolutely waffled you.
Couldn't get him out.
Would you give him the 4 wide with nobody on, nobody out?
No chance in hell.
Why not?
I don't know. Not built like that. If you're gonna get me, you're gonna get me. I'm not just giving you one.
That's it, Kratz? You're not going to give any more context to it?
I mean, my guy watches the games. He knows what's going on.
He knows Garrett Cole. He knows Garrett Cole went like this to Rafael Devers and then gave up a 7 spot on the backside of that. I mean, let's be honest here.
I've only done that once in my career where I looked at the dugout and said, "Hey," and Trout just hit a double with 2 outs, and Shohei was coming up. So that's my one.
And who was on deck though? Who was on deck, and what was the score?
Does it matter at that point?
Does, because
I know we were winning by 1, I think, at the time. So it doesn't matter who's on deck if you're already in the situation you're in with 2 outs and runner on second, Shohei up. You're gonna walk him anyways. So you might as well. And I think he had already struck out twice against me that day. There's no way that the third time was gonna happen. So it was like, hey, let's get this. Let's move on to the next guy.
Okay, so in the 4th inning, Shohei comes up. You're up 1-0. Are you going like this?
No.
Okay, good answer. Thank you.
Yeah. If I'm pretty sure
nobody on.
That was my
same situation, Garrett.
5th or 6th inning when I did that, and they were like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Well, the smart play is to walk him because the likelihood of striking Shohei out 3 times in a game is pretty slim."
I like it. No, I'm talking about when Garrett Cole went like this in the 4th inning, winning 1-0.
Nobody on base.
Nobody on base, and had not given up a hit. And he goes, but there's no way. If Lance would have said yes, I would have, wherever he is, I would have flown there. He would have got me a private plane. I would have flown there on his dime. I would have kicked him straight in his belly, and then he would have flown me home.
All right, so I got one that'll grind your gears too. Okay, so last week, did you see the story about the Twins prospect who was giving up signs and got booted from the Twins and essentially from baseball? Have you ever seen anything like that before? Any teammates, probably minor leagues more so, that didn't want to be there and it was causing a problem like that?
I've never heard of catchers like just flat telling pitches and all that. You do hear stories about guys maybe in the middle infield giving things to the guy in the box. That has It has happened before. Whether it's a guy you grew up with, brother, guy from there's all kinds of different people and way you knew. But there I think we've all heard the rumors of it, and then obviously once you get labeled that, it's no fun for you, and then obviously you're out of the game pretty quick, especially when your teammates know that that's a possibility.
By the way, I will say this: people have asked me. I wasn't here when we talked about this on Friday. I think it was Thursday or Friday. I wasn't here. Two things. One, have I ever done this? Yes, but I was told by our pitching coach there was a guy that completely owned us, and he goes, next at bat, just tell him what's coming. I go, okay. I go, you really want me to do that? He goes, tell him. We got him out.
Because it messed with him.
Because he's like, no way. Like, you're back. He's like, I'm like, all right, here comes the heater away. And he's like, what? Yeah. Like, heater away. And he's, and and you get him out because you're like, wait, what? And then two, what he's talking about, when I was in the minor leagues, guys would do this. They would, shortstops and second basemen that knew each other from wherever they were from, and we'd have to watch it all the time. You'd have to watch your guys, which sounds crazy, but they would literally have something. They would move a certain way, only on certain pitches, and you're like, And then you like go in, you like, hey, watch. You tell the pitching coach or the manager, hey, like watch so and so when we call this pitch and watch they do this. And we caught a few guys doing it. It wasn't like we caught some guys doing it.
Did you?
Yeah, well, it wasn't my job to do it, but the coaches and managers got them. They were like, hey, what are you doing? Like, they didn't get released, but they were like, what are you doing? And they were like, hey, I know, they tried to deny it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, we got three coaches that watched and called every pitch off what you were doing. And then, they got taken into the office. But yeah, trust me, it still happens.
Why? They're doing it because it's their friend? Like, did you see that too, Lance, where a guy gets caught and you find out, they go back in the day, and so he was trying to help him move through the minor leagues quicker?
Yes, 100%. They have it's, hey, you help me, I help you type of deal.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know
it happens more than people think.
See, that hasn't been discussed much during this whole process.
No, I don't know if it happens as much anymore because everything is on camera now.
Yeah.
Now, you got to understand, this was like 30 years ago when there wasn't, there was a camera, but it was like the one you had to hold on. Like our pitchers that were pitching had like the big camcorder on their shoulder trying to film the hitter, the pitcher. But I mean, that nowadays every game is filmed, every game is on TV, so it's probably a little bit harder to get away with it.
But let's finish with this because we got to jump. But Lance, a catcher giving, it sounded like everything to the other team just to get a few runs on the board and end his season, and then it sounded like he told the team and his teammates, like, "Yeah, I just don't want to play. We don't want to be here anymore. Let's go home." That's weak.
Very much so. Don't take the field if you want to go home. Just pack your stuff and head on out and retire if you're going to be that. And it's like you're going to be done anyways. Now that you did what you did, no one can ever put that guy on a roster or anything like that because no one can trust him. So you're better off just going home and having some sort of integrity.
Exactly. You're taking food off the table for other guys. Like, we know what it's about. That's bad. Yeah.
Lance, super chat before you go. Are you coming back next year to pitch? Referee wants to know.
I like pitching. We'll see what the in this game they tell you when it's time to go home or not by not offering any money. So I'm gonna have to wait and see what the league tells me.
So that means Diamond doesn't want you home. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Oh man, it's been fun. I'll tell you what, it's been fun being close to home this year. I know that. So we'll see what next year entails and how the game values me, and then I'll go from there.
Okay, I like that. Well, dude, good to see you. Great to have you back on the mound. We'll catch you again in a few weeks. All right?
Hey, and by the way, if you got to get rowdy out when you do. You got to like you do the whole I'm pleased for me.
Hey, Rowdy wants no part of that. He swings early and often against me. He's trying to get out of the box. He doesn't want any part of what could happen at the end of an at bat.
Well, if you strike him out, just for me, give him the old Lance crotch chop for me.
Yeah. Him and I'm sure we'll both laugh at each other too, because Rowdy enjoys stuff, even though he tries to act like he doesn't.
Oh, he's great.
Perfect.
He's great. We'll run this when we get him back on soon. Lance, thank you. Appreciate you. Talk soon, okay?
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Lance Lynn from the Cardinals with us on FT. Coming right back. All right, good one today. So we'll sneak in some other news during these breaks here for the YouTube fam. Jacob deGrom's back. I loved the Kumar Rocker start too. I know you weren't with us Friday, but Rocker looked pretty damn good.
He did. A lot of swing and miss.
Yeah, a lot of swing and miss. That's a fun weekend, though. Even though the Rangers got dusted by the Mariners over the weekend, Scherzer returned, not as important for them. He's going to be a free agent. But DeGrom's back. If that's the DeGrom you're getting for next year, sign me up. Although, here's how I'm going to place it. Are you concerned if you're a Rangers fan that you only have a certain amount of starts and innings with someone like him and you're thinking about the World Series? Because Dodger fans are saying this about Glass now. They're like, love the dude. One of the best interviews, one of the best pitchers. Bring him back next year in August.
Who said that?
A lot of fans online. They're like, bring him back in August because they're like, I need him in the playoffs. They were like, we would have made the playoffs with or without him if his season started. I'm telling you what the people, that's my job. I didn't play. I just read comments.
No. That's bad.
But are you concerned that DeGrom starts off April 1st?
Sometimes you say really dumb things and then you just keep topping them.
But DeGrom starts April 1st, okay? Your GM, Chris Young, signed up long-term. Are you concerned watching him out there crush it? That
he's not the GM anymore. He's the president of baseball ops.
The Pobo. Are you concerned the Pobo is going to be missing him come October?
You got to get to October 1st.
Sure, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain guys where you're just like, am I going to get him to the finish line? Because I want his best stuff in the time period when I need him most.
Yeah, okay. Look at their rotation next year, though. Who are they going to have? They're going to need him the whole year. Unless they go out and sign somebody.
Yeah.
Well, Jack Leiter hasn't exactly lit it up.
No.
Kumar had one start.
Yep.
Pretty good, but he only threw, 4 innings?
Yes, 4 innings.
Okay. DeGrom, Scherzer's a free agent. Bradford.
Evaldi's got a
free
weird
agent, isn't he?
option thing. Yeah, I think
Evaldi's got some weird option thingy.
I think Heaney's got another year. I get what you're saying. I mean, they'll patch up. They'll get the rotation back together, but yeah.
Yates is a free agent. Robertson's a free agent. Back end of their bullpen's a mess.
I think it's a harder combo. You say, you got to go to Verlander if he's not pitching well. Who pitched better this weekend? And say, hey, you're not pitching game 1 or starting in the playoffs for us. I think a tougher combo is, hey, Jacob, we'd like you to start your season in June instead of April. That's not happening.
Get back to me. I loved when you said it. AJ was so disappointed when you said it. That's what made me laugh. He was just like, he got lower and lower. No, but that conversation does need to happen. And hopefully he can help you make that decision.
Yep.
Real question, what do you do with Jonah Heim?
Where's the beef? Okay, let's do this. There's 2 layers to the Red Sox Yankees from the weekend. Also,
there's one layer. Back. There's one layer. One layer. I don't know what your second layer is. There's really only one thing we need to talk about the whole weekend.
Cole potentially walking Devers.
It's the only thing we need to talk about.
But Cora was starting beef with the team saying that cutter in on the hands in the prior.
That's all part of this whole Cole Devers.
So do you think it was on purpose?
I'm going to say he wasn't upset that he hit him.
So you're saying it's like, hey, let's pitch him really inside, and if it hits him, it hits him.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Because then they tried to hit Judge.
Okay. What did we talk about? They should. What did we talk about last week? Remember the whole Whit Merrifield, we'll handle it on the field trick? Mm-hmm. You hit our best player, guess who's getting one?
Eye for an eye.
Mm-hmm. And then if Judge is pissed, you look at him, you go tell Cole. Go tell your pitcher. Remember when Delman Young, I think he was on Minnesota or the Tigers. Here's where he walks him, which still, the look on Rafael Devers' face should be the meme of all memes, where he's like, basically like WTF. And then that one where he's like a little kid, he's like, what are we doing? And then it led to 7 spot, which is also amazing. But you remember when Delman Young got hit? I think he was with the Twins. The Tigers hit him, and the Twins guy had hit a couple of the Tigers, and the Tigers smoked him. And he didn't go to the pitcher. He went to his dugout and was like, literally like, that's on y'all. Y'all stop hitting their dudes. I'm getting hit for y'all being stupid.
Yep.
Like, that's what happens. And then this okay, I'm going to get into this right now because I saw this and I'm like, what are we doing? What are you doing? You're Garrett Cole. You're going to the Hall of Fame possibly. If you don't want to pitch to him, don't show it to the world. Like, just throw some balls, throw 4 balls, tell the catcher, I don't know who was catching, it looks like Wells was catching. Hey, Austin, set up a foot off the plate, and I'm going to throw 4 balls outside, and we'll let him go to first. But to go like this, when you haven't given up a hit, your team's up 1. The worst thing that happens is he hits a home run, and it's 1-1. So what? But now the worst thing that happens by not pitching to him is the Red Sox dugout goes, look at this guy. He's scared to death. Here we go, boys. Whammo, 7 spot. That's the problem. It's not, yeah, okay, great. Garrett Cole, you're like, I don't want to pitch to him. Fine. Freaking throw him a cutter and hit him with a slider. Like, throw 4 sliders at his back foot that bounce and go, you're on first. Cool. But by going like this, and now listen, there are times, like, I get it, Barry Bonds, certain guys when they're hot as all fire, just go like this and put them on. But this is the 4th inning with a 1-run lead. You have not given up a hit. You're supposed to be the alpha on the Yankees staff. And the Red Sox go, we got this dude. Here we go, boys. Whoop. And they took off. That's the problem. Am I wrong on this, Kratzy?
No, you're 100% right. 100% right. And because big league hitters, whether you think the Red Sox lineup is good or it's not good, you give me confidence to face somebody who I thought was unhittable. That's an advantage. That is a huge advantage. And they bred off that confidence. If you ever want to see what confidence looks like, that is exactly what the Red Sox got after he was like, they were all like, race to the bat rack.
Yeah, there's a quote from Devers post game. I didn't expect that from a future Hall of Famer. To say it some way, he panicked a little bit. Also, Devers isn't ruling the world right now. Devers doesn't have the line that Aaron Judge has or Shohei Ohtani. He's had a good year. He's been really cold in September. I know he's had Cole's number, but whew, that was weird. I mean, you heard the Yankees broadcast, Michael Kay popped off. It's like, what are we doing? And I did a lot of work post-game, like a lot of back and forth and trying to catch all the quotes. I wasn't there to try and get a grip on what the situation was. From what I took from Booney and Cole, and they were talking about pitching coach Matt Blake, this was talked about like a week ago as a potential game plan and that they want to like mix in some intentional walks into their strategy. And then he said, like, they asked him, they're like, when was this talked about even currently? And he's like, even in the tunnel, it sounded like it was a conversation with the pitching coach that they might do it in a certain spot. It sounded like Booney kind of like backed his guy, but also was like, yeah, it sounded like he kind of went rogue here.
I think Austin Wells was like, I had no idea. He's like, I looked up and he went like this, and I was like, I thought it was a joke or something. Remember, he was like, I didn't know what he was doing.
Do you think there was miscommunication, though, with the coaching staff telling Garrett Cole, like, hey, we're going to talk about certain strategic intentional walks, but yeah, this isn't the spot for it? You know, I'm confused. It just, the game situation itself doesn't sound like anyone that knows the sport would intentionally walk really anyone in that spot.
Let's not overcomplicate it. Like, Cole made the decision, and that was in his head, and whether it was a brain fart or not, like, he made that decision. Did Matt Blake talk to him about, hey, you know what? Rafi Devers has got 8 pumps off of you. He really hits you well. I'm sure they said, we can't let him beat us. So that means in a 0-0 game in the 7th inning, we're going to pitch around him so that he doesn't go oppo against us. He doesn't go to the short porch and right against us. He can't beat you in that situation. AJ glazed over it a little bit. The worst he can do is tie it. That is not can't beat you. That is tying. Like, so That's the only thing I hear Matt Blake saying, Aaron Boone saying, strategic analysis coordinator saying. And it was a decision by Garrett to do that. And I've never seen it.
Wow.
When I wasn't watching live, obviously, but when the text and the tweets and everything started flying, I was like, wait. I went back and watched it, and I was like, this can't be a real thing. Like there was times because I think even the umpire said, like, are you sure? Like, do you really want this? Because I think the umpire even was like, no way. So I think. Sorry, I think my cord came out.
No, you're good.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, like there was times like I know when there was the guy that owned somebody, the pitcher would be like, and the pitcher and hitter would kind of look at each other, but not actually. Then when he's like, yeah, I don't know. If I was the catcher, if I was Wells, I would have been like, timeout. Wait, before we make this move, let's go have. I mean, Wells is a young guy. Cole obviously, Cy Young, all the things.
That's a tough call for him.
Agreed, but still, I would have been like, timeout before we make this move. Let's have the pitching coach come on out and let's have a discussion here, guys, because we really want to do this here.
It's a legacy move too. I feel like you're always going to remember this. Like this is a time where this could happen 5 years from now, and you're going to be like, remember?
Oh yeah,
when Cole.
Every time that Rafi Devers now faces Garrett Cole and he gets a hit, every player, especially if he's in like Boston, the fans are going to be like, should have put him on. Yep, 4. He hits a home run again. Every fan. When Garrett Cole pitches in Boston next time, every time Rafi Devers comes up, if the whole stands aren't like this to him, Red Sox fans are missing an opportunity here.
They're probably going to go 4, 4,
yeah.
4, 4, 4, 4. Epic. So lastly, Judge on Bayo throwing at him, things like that happen. I know they're upset. I think 3 of their guys got hit. I think they're just protecting their players. That's the way this game kind of gets policed. The biggest thing is just don't miss. I thought that was a great answer. That's like the exact pro. That's the pro I am Jeter 2.0 answer. But it was good. I mean, that's what he should say.
But he knew too. He knew why it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
He knew why it happened.
Of course. And Cora said we had our shot in the 6th. It didn't happen.
What do they say? You take a shot at the king, don't miss.
Mm-hmm. They missed.
Yep.
So
and then he didn't miss.
Exactly. The positive news is, Yanks fans, Aaron Judge hit a grand slam on Friday, and he homered again this weekend. So he's got 53. He's a little bit back. So that's good for you, even though the ego definitely took a little hit. All right, we'll swing right back. We still have to go over a bunch of other AL wildcard and NL wildcard race updates, the whole deal, see where the Twins are at, and if the Tigers and the Mariners still have a shot, and Mets Braves will get caught up on too. And AJ is tearing.
Oh, my cords didn't fall out, Scott. Liar.
That's a bonus cord. That is. We've got bonus cords. We might do a giveaway if someone wants this. That's the noise. It immediately gets Erik Kratz's attention. The app is called Babbel. There are a number of key components to this app and to this program that can help you learn a new language, including an activity tracker that keeps you on top of the daily streak that you keep checking into the app to keep getting better at speaking another language for. So, Kratz, what else do you like about your Babbel life?
Necesito más practicar español, pero no problemas con the app. No entiende app en español, pero más practicar es mejor en español. Sí, gracias.
Yeah, we like to hear him work on his pronunciation.
He's got to figure out the word for app, though.
So that's what he just said, right?
It's app. It's app.
Word Speaking of, I could have used Babbel last night because for some reason when I was driving home from my son's tournament, we wanted to watch the Bears game on NBC because it was Sunday night. Mm-hmm. And the only way I could get it was in Espanol. So we were listening to the game in Espanol last night.
See? It can come in handy. if you're getting some weird glitch, or you're somebody that's like tuning into some random stream and it's in another language, another reason to check out Babbel and to get that noise. I've actually come across that before. I've gotten that glitch.
That's probably electric too. I'm sure it was electric.
Oh,
the calls are better.
Oh yeah. Oh,
right.
So when they make a field
El
goal,
football americano, dímelo, Aaron Rodgers.
You know what a panuelo is? A panuelo? That's a flag. A panuelo.
Wow.
That's a flag.
There you go.
That's a flag.
I didn't know that.
So next time you want to watch football in a different language, get Babbel. That's the line we were looking for. And here's a special deal for the FT
It
fan.
does, because I've been using my Babbel,
I'm
so
proud
I understood.
Of you. That was good. I learned that word. I didn't know that one. Up to 60% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/foul. Up to 60% off at BABBEL.com/foul. Rules and restrictions may apply. Be right back. If you watched the start of the season for the Tigers and you thought September 16th, there's no chance that they're going to bring on Cody Stavenhagen from the Athletic to talk about this ball club, you are wrong. The Tigers still do have a very small chance of cracking the postseason. You can also hear Cody on his Turn the Corner pod. Cody, great to have you on. Can you explain the pathway to the playoffs for the Detroit Tigers, and if the city and the players and the whole deal, if everyone's buying it?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. It's kind of difficult to explain how they got here. It doesn't make a lot of sense. They were 9 games under 500 on July 4th. They sold at the trade deadline. It was unclear who was going to pitch for this team. They were basically using a 2-man rotation with modified bullpen games and openers and bulk relievers. And since August 1st, they have the best ERA in baseball. They're 2.5 games behind the Twins. They don't have the tiebreaker against the Twins, so it's really kind of more like a 3.5 game deficit. But with the way they've been playing, best team in the AL since that date on July 4th, this is starting to go from a pipe dream to a real possibility. A lot of this, it would help if Minnesota could implode, but the Tigers are suddenly legitimately in this race.
So would you agree with the statement that they got younger and they got better?
I mean, yeah, that's just factual, and I don't think many people would have seen that coming. I didn't necessarily see that coming, but they traded Mark Canha, Andrew Chafin, Carson Kelly, Jack Flaherty, Gio Urshela was DFA'd, brought up a bunch of guys from the minors. Some of these position players, Trey Sweeney, Jace Young, Dylan Dingler, haven't really totally found their footing, and it's been pitchers who had 5 and 6 ERAs in AAA who have come up here and just shoved. It's kind of been remarkable to watch every night. It's like, wait, how is this happening? But guys keep throwing strikes. Guys keep getting results.
Is this an AJ Hinch thing? Because you look back at what AJ Hinch did with a young team, maybe a little over 8 years ago, and that's when he had success. No, 9 years ago in 2015, and took a team to a wild card victory in Yankee Stadium. Is this an AJ Hinch thing, or is this a player development thing that has pushed these guys, not pushed them, but, made them ready to be successful in the big leagues?
Yeah, I think a lot of credit definitely has to go to AJ and his coaching staff as well, particularly the pitching coaches, Chris Fetter, Robin Lund, Juan Nieves. In 3 of Hinch's 4 years as Tigers manager, this team has played significantly better in the second half than it did the first half. I'm not sure that's coincidence. They've all been young teams that developed in the big leagues and got better as the year went on. Hinch hasn't really had like a stacked roster by any means to work with in Detroit, but there's been tangible signs of improvement, even just how creatively Hinch has used this pitching staff, using openers, bringing in bulk relievers, really playing the matchups night in and night out. And lately he's kind of been managing a little bit more like these are our postseason games. Kiter Montero threw 5 scoreless, had thrown only 63 pitches yesterday. Hinch brought in Tyler Holton to face the Orioles a third time through. We all know that it's tough to quantify these days the impact of a manager or the coaching staff. But if there's ever a situation where those guys deserve some credit, I think it's one like this.
Okay, I have to ask, this question. Do you know the significance of April 13th for this team?
April 13th. I don't. You got me stumped there.
Okay. They lost 2 games to the Twins that day. One they lost 4-1. The other one they lost 11-5 in 12 innings. They gave up a 7 spot in the 12th inning and lost. If they win one of those games, they win the season series against the Twins, and they change the game. And they're only like 1 game out. If they just win one of those 2 games. Now, both these games are in Detroit. So they always say you can't win a pennant in April, but you can lose it. So looking back, it's going to – listen, the Twins are doing everything they can to let the Tigers try to win this third wild card, because the Twins didn't try at the trade deadline, didn't try really in the offseason. They're falling apart, injuries, whatever you want to call it. But if Tigers miss by a game or 2, they can look back on April 13th and say, we gave up a 7 spot in the 12th inning to a team that was really struggling. Now we missed because of those 2 games. I mean, it's tough. It sucks, but that's the significance.
Yeah, that's huge. If I recall, there was some really bad defense maybe in those games. And then I think the low point of their season was in Minnesota in July. Just played a really poor series. Kenta Maeda got absolutely rocked. That was his final start before going to the bullpen. You don't maybe look back on that series as a missed opportunity, because the Tigers were really kind of limping into that series. But it is, yeah, to your point, funny to look back on. Kind of little moments throughout the year that now can make such a huge difference.
Well, I'll point this out. Javi Baez goes down a few weeks ago and the team takes off. Obviously, Tigers fans are very angry about his performance so far during the contract. So how much do you see that pop up on your social media feed right now? And in all seriousness, I mean, he was one of the worst hitters in baseball this season, and I think last year too, right? So you are replacing a negative player. How much does that factor in?
Yeah, I think there's probably something to that, maybe even just culturally, kind of this big contract veteran guy who's underproducing just isn't around, isn't in the dugout anymore. Does that make a difference when a young guy like Trey Sweeney gets called up? I mean, maybe so. Baez was, believe it or not, starting to play a little bit better before he goes in the IL and eventually has hip surgery. It's not like the Tigers have gotten game-breaking production at shortstop since he's been gone. But Trey Sweeney, a guy who they acquired at the trade deadline and the Jack Flaherty trade that not everyone loved, ended up coming almost right to the big leagues. And, he's shown some positive flashes. He's played good defense. I think he's got 4 homers. It's not like it's totally made the shortstop position a plus for the Tigers. But, yeah, you could certainly point to that as one element that's interesting. And I think the acquisition of Trey Sweeney has probably not gotten enough credit. He was kind of viewed as like the second piece in that deal with the Dodgers behind Tyron Lorenzo, a catching prospect. Sweeney's now playing shortstop pretty much day in and day out rather than Javi Baez.
What did you think of that trade back then? And some to do with the return, but also I'd like to get your thoughts on what in my mind seemed like a lack of really strong interest. He looked like the clear-cut starting pitching prize. We know how much that can mean in a playoff race. We saw that last year. I bring this up all the time because I love the transparency from Mike Hazen, who runs the Diamondbacks front office. He was like, we could have gotten Jordan Montgomery. We didn't offer enough. We were a starter short of the World Series, and that very starter burned us in the World Series, or we could be champs right now. So then we fast forward a year, and a club like the Yankees says, nah, medicals aren't good enough. And meanwhile, if the Dodgers don't have Jack Flaherty right now, where the heck are they?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a consequential move. The Orioles were just in Detroit. I'm watching them like, okay, I mean, Eflin's really good. I don't know if they could have got Eflin and another starter. Corbin Burns is really good. Imagine if they had a guy like Jack Flaherty. I don't know exactly what was in the medicals that scared off the Yankees, but Flaherty's been healthy and he's looked pretty dang good for the Dodgers. I didn't hate the return as much as a lot of people. I always thought if the Tigers could get a back-end top 100 prospect for Rental and Flaherty, that would be pretty fair. That's exactly what they got in Lorenzo, even though he's a catcher who may eventually have to move to first. And then Sweeney was viewed a little more as a throw-in, like utility infielder. Maybe he can hit, maybe he can't. We'll see if there's anything there. He's obviously, like I said, playing an outsized role right now. Scott Harris took some took some heat for that trade. It was compared a lot to the Kikuchi trade between the Blue Jays and Astros. I don't know. Like, I think that trade was probably a little overrated at the time. Now, Will Wagner's done pretty well, but go look at Joey Loperfito's numbers. Like, I think he's not a perfect player. And look at what Kikuchi has done in Houston. Yeah, there's like some interesting parallels still between those two moves. But right now, I think that trade with the Dodgers looks better for the Tigers than it did even at the time.
I'm not saying this has to be an either or, but which is more likely? One of these young players who have emerged and has started to play gets some type of like Colt Keith type of extension this offseason? Or because normally this was what we were supposed to talk about right now when we have you on in September is next season. A little of this playoff push stuff is exciting, but really, is there an offseason for this team? Is there a lane where they make a free agent acquisition, maybe like a Alex Bregman and an extension for one of the young players? Or is it only going to be like, maybe we'll try to extend some young players in a couple one-year deals?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, a really important question for the future of this franchise. Good as this team has played since July, it does still feel like a little bit of an anomaly. Like, I'm not sold that they have with this current lineup to run it back and win 90 games or win the division next year. Bregman, third base, it's really interesting conversation, but when I'm looking for the quickest way to improve this lineup, I'm circling, I'm highlighting, I'm bolding first base. And there are some interesting players who are going to be out there. Christian Walker, if you're willing to pay a little bit. If you're not, maybe even like a Carlos Santana. But Spencer Torkelson remains a huge question mark. He was demoted. He's come back up. He's been so-so since he came back up. I think if you're looking to add instant offense, you can't just kind of continue this extended trial with Torkelson. I think signing a first baseman who can slug a little bit could be a great path forward for the Tigers. And then third base, yeah, that's definitely got to be in the mix too.
Well, at least they found Riley Green, and when Kerry Carpenter's healthy, they got at least a couple bats in there that they can count on pretty good if Torkelson hasn't worked out the way they thought, especially after last year. But I got to ask you, before we let you go, a couple of questions. You went to Oklahoma State, correct?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so then you covered Oklahoma, right? Correct?
Yep.
That had to hurt a little bit. And then finally, in your bio, it says Texas all day. So I'm confused. Are you an Oklahoma State fan? Are you a Texas fan? Or are you an Oklahoma fan? Which one are we going with today?
Yeah, I guess Oklahoma State's my alma mater, right? It didn't hurt them to cover OU as bad as you would think because, I don't know, it's Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Trae Young. It was some awesome teams to cover. And I went to OSU, wanted to be a sports writer, wanted to be a journalist. So I never fully, put that fan hat on in college. It's really not until you get a little further removed and then you're like, oh, yeah, I guess I did go there. I guess I can get some T-shirts. I watch all the games. So yeah, I got to stay a little bit loyal to the alma mater there. But I was born and raised in Texas, so that's still a big part of my identity as well.
Satisfied?
I mean, kind of. I mean, he didn't really give us an answer there. He's kind of like, well, I still like all three. I mean, I don't know. Things are different in Oklahoma, I guess, in Texas.
Don't let him give you a hard time.
No.
He says he's from New York, but then he says he's from Florida. Then he loves Chicago. So he picks a trifecta just like you.
He identifies with multiple places. No. And don't ask him about his college football team right now. Don't ask him. Do not.
There are no Texas, right, Cody? Fuck them.
No folks.
Do you know who his team is, Cody?
I don't know. What are we working with?
You should ask him. You might as well.
We're not going to talk about Fight Club. Rule number 1: we don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah, right. Exactly. AJ might be coaching the Florida Gators.
That's true.
Team soon.
That's not what you want.
Yeah, that's not what you want right now.
Well, it would be fun. I'll give you that.
It would be a very good time.
We would have
and
a great
at this point,
time.
that's what the season's for. Just
we'd
having
recruit
fun.
Our asses off. I know that.
I just want to have some fun. So anyway, Cody, thank you so much for the time. Everyone can follow Cody at Cody Stavenhagen, Stavenhagen, and of course, check out his articles in The Athletic and the Turn the Corner pod. Appreciate you, Cody. Enjoy the stretch run here. At least you got some action to cover, right?
Yeah, for the first time in a long time. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Cody with us on FT, and we will swing right back to go over the rest of the wild card racing. right, so Ozzy Albies spoke this weekend to media and essentially said, like, I am coming back, but there's a chance I might be back just as a right-handed hitter. So he has the fractured left wrist, and apparently the wrist is still bothering him when he hits as a lefty. So he might just hit as a righty, but it sounds like it hasn't been discussed yet. He's got much better career numbers as a righty. The career numbers as a righty are almost 1,000. I feel like there's been times where we've talked about him potentially just hitting from the right side.
Yeah, a long time ago they talked about it, but
Yeah.
he's figured out his left hand has gotten better the last couple of years. He stopped trying to hit every ball out of the park, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out. So if you broke your, because I was left-handed, so I broke my wrist here.
Okay.
I would think that it would put more strain on it hitting it because this is more of a lead. Like when I did mine, this hand kind of leads, so this is just kind of along for the ride. So you would think that left-handed would be easier than right.
Didn't he do it right here though? Didn't he break this?
Which part?
Which part?
Wait, show Kratz. Which part?
Like the inside of your wrist. If you put your hands together, for everybody listening, didn't he break right here?
That's what I'm saying. I broke mine right here, right where you're talking about.
Oh, I thought you were saying the back.
No, see right here, I got hit by a pitch right here, broke this bone, ulna radius. I don't know what it's called.
And that doesn't hurt when it's coming through, or you're pulling through with the right hand.
This is more of a, so it was more of a, right? Yeah, it hurt, but who cares? But then this one, you would think this would be more of a, right?
Maybe he's more top hand. I don't know, but that's crazy.
I don't know.
That's crazy. But they talk about that with every switch hitter. Oh, he's always better from one side. Well, yeah, of course. Like, you can't be perfect. You can't be the same from each side. Then they'd be like, well, he's not good from either side. So, like, he's
Billy
going to be.
Hamilton.
He was equal
on one side?
No. They tried to make him only one side. I
side.
thought at one point, right?
Yeah.
Shane Victorino, at the end of his career, he said
He only hit
pulled
right-handed.
I read articles
pulled
at the
his
beginning of the
hamstring.
year. They already were trying to do it to Ellie because they were looking at his swing speed, saying his swing speed differential is really is really
Right-handed.
bad.
It's not as good.
Okay. So should he ditch it? Yeah, Billy just became a right-handed hitter. I looked. He ditched it in 2022.
By the way, what do you guys like the graphics with the swings and the ball, like the swing speed and all that stuff? Do you guys like that stuff? Are you into that stuff?
I like a little bit of everything. All the time or too much of that stuff, I think starts to make it a math or a science project. Okay. I still want to watch the game. What do you think?
They're always looking for stuff to talk about, like on national broadcasts. That's been brought up, and I just don't know about it yet. Too nerdy or not?
It is nerdy. It's nerdy. It's science. It's math. But go to school, kid. Where would we like to start? You want to do AL or NL wild card? I guess we should do AL since we talked a little bit about the Tigers just now. AL's more fun?
Yeah, because we can say nobody else is getting in. It's already set. Twins are playing bad. Royals are a cool story. Orioles, what are they? So it's fun. It's quick. It's easy. The National League is an absolute debacle.
Hold on. Well, now you're making us start with the American League based on what you just said. And also, we are going to talk to Britt Ghiroli about one of those National League wildcard teams in the New York Mets. So we'll save that for her. But you don't think the AL has any interest? I was on Seattle radio earlier today, and they said, hey, how you doing? I was like, how are you doing? I said, does Seattle believe that they're going to shock the world after sweeping the non-playoff Rangers? They're going to play catch-up. Both the Tigers and Mariners, as of today, Monday, September 16th, are 2.5 games back of the Twins, but really 3.5 because they both lost the season series to Minnesota. Where are we at?
No,
both ways.
No.
Correa and Buxton are back. The Twins look bad still. They lost
but here's my thing. Here's who the Mariners play down the stretch.
Okay.
Ready for this one? Yankees, next 3.
Yep.
At home, okay, fine. At the Rangers, Astros, at Houston.
Yeah.
And then they end with Oakland. So, and Oakland's playing good.
Oakland.
I mean, except for they just lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox.
But that's not a fun team to face at the end.
No, but you don't want to play them because they can swing it. They got some players.
I'd rather face the Twins right now than the A's.
Yeah, so it's pretty tough. Tigers have Royals.
Mm-hmm.
They don't exactly have it easy either. So I just think it's 3 games in the loss plus the tiebreaker. That's 4 games in 13 you got to make up.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot to ask for.
Should I throw the Twins schedule out there?
Sure.
Because that's the one we didn't get to. They're playing the Cleveland Guardians for 4, if I can get rid of all these damn
If they split that, fine.
Okay. Then they have 3 at Boston.
Okay,
Not a pushover. And they're facing Bayo, Cutter Crawford, and Nick Pivetta. So they're getting their better arms.
Yeah.
That's tough. Then you've got 3 against Miami where you need to sweep them.
Yep.
And then there's Baltimore at the finish line.
But Baltimore's probably going to already have some locked up by then.
They'll have the playoffs wrapped up. Yeah.
But they're not going to win the division, I don't feel like.
No, but maybe it's seeding at that point for Baltimore because, they're also sputtering right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost the series this weekend to that Tigers team. The offense has been inconsistent.
I just think four games in 13 is a lot to make up.
I agree.
That's a lot to make up.
But there's 2 teams at least. Like either the Tigers or the Mariners could make a crazy run. And if the Twins do continue to look like crap, it could happen. I don't know, Kratz, you buying any of this? Or actually you're not because you started off by saying, no, I'm good. You've moved on.
It'll be fun.
Okay.
It'll be fun to watch, but I don't think it's going to be the same intrigue and excitement as the National League.
I mean, the Tigers play the Royals, the Orioles. So your 2 teams, the Orioles are in the middle of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play the Rays and the White Sox to end the year.
The White Sox at the end. With the
record
streak
They'll
on the line.
already have it by
right
then.
Before they spend like crazy in the offseason.
Oh, wait.
We'll get to
Never
that
mind.
later.
No.
They're hot right now. They're hot.
You'll see how hot they are in my bet later up.
Can't wait. So for the National League, we'll talk Mets mostly with Britt Ghiroli coming up in a moment, but the Braves just won their series over the weekend against the Dodgers. The Padres just shoved the Giants. They're doing meetings. They're freaking out in San Francisco because record still matters for a team like that, right? They love to look at how they did at the end of the year, and they're shoving them down towards the bottom right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Diamondbacks had some problems with the Brewers too.
Brewers are good, man.
The Brewers are really good. Yeah.
But the Diamondbacks, listen, the Diamondbacks, Padres in. I'm going to say
you're good.
They're probably more. I mean, unless something crazy. Padres definitely are in for me. Diamondbacks more than likely are in. Mm-hmm. Braves and Mets, though, that's where it's going to be fun. That's where it's going to be fun.
Well, if only they played each other. Oops, they do.
They do, exactly. That series is where it's at.
Yeah. That's the Metsed Up Hammer Territory Bowl matchup, the whole deal.
They're going to have Grimace come out. They're going to have all kinds of crazy stuff happen.
Mm-hmm. The OMG sign,
everything. Yeah. So you want to get the schedule for the Diamondbacks just to make sure we're good because this will help to convince you. I know they just had a tough series.
I don't think they're good.
You don't think the Diamondbacks are good? Like, you don't think they're a good team or you don't think they're safe yet?
I don't think they're safe yet. I think they're a good team. The Padres, teams are going to fear the Padres too. But they made adjustments in the playoffs last year. They beat the team I thought was going to win the World Series in the Phillies. Homer. Nobody wants to face the Diamondbacks. Very homer. They score a lot of runs. The issue is they need to score a lot of runs. They blew that huge lead to the Brewers. I know they ended up coming back. They score so many. They're like the exact opposite of the Mariners. The exact opposite.
Yep, you're right. I have to make a quick stat correction because I keep forgetting wraparound series. Dodgers and Braves are playing today too. So technically, I said the Braves won the series. It could end up being split. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sandy and others, for calling me out. It was warranted. But here, let me give you the schedule
Usually
then.
Is.
Yeah, it is. The Rockies and the Diamondbacks are playing this week, starting tonight.
Diamondbacks. It's in Colorado. They got to.
You got to at least win the series.
You got to get 2 out of 3 of that.
Yeah, sweep would be nice. Then they have 4 in Milwaukee, the team that just gave them problems. I mean, they had the
Milwaukee
walk-off yesterday.
Milwaukee might have already clinched by then. There might be some.
No.
Because they got to. What do you mean no?
No, they're going for the bye.
Oh, they're going for the
and
bye.
Murph is Murph is
right.
balls to the wall for the bye.
But everyone hates the bye, though. But everybody hates the bye.
No. The bye is back in.
No, the bye's back now.
The bye is
the Phillies are going to get the bye.
Yeah.
So everybody's back in with the bye.
The bye is so Hansel.
Because last year, I swear, the last few years, like everyone's like, we don't want the bye.
No, stop. Not one player has ever said that when the bye is up for grabs. Not one.
No, but when they lose because they get beat by a team that's playing better, they say, "Oh, I wish we didn't have that time off." What happened?
Nope.
Yeah, here's good news, at least lining up right now for pitching. So after that Milwaukee series, they face San Francisco, and they've got Birdsong, Webb, who hasn't pitched as good lately, and then Black. So they're not facing cream of the crop there. That's good. That matters too. You don't just schedule watch down the stretch. You starting pitcher, probable watch, the whole deal. But then they finish with 3 against San Diego. Although the Padres will probably just be locked into the number one wild card at that point.
They'll be the 4 seed.
And they're going to be saving up that bullpen because if they're going to win the World Series, they are going to hit that bullpen hard all October. So for that last series, if they're cruising, they're barely going to use those 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, they're going to try to stay away from their main guys.
Yeah.
They'll use them just to get them some work in, but they'll try and stay away from them.
They'll probably do one. Each one of them gets 1 inning in that series, right?
Something, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Okay. So that's where we're at for everyone.
Hope the Diamondbacks don't get in. As good of a job as it was for them to get to the World Series last year, it'll be the complete opposite for them not to make it this year for me. Because of where they were not long ago. They had like a 5-game lead not long ago, 4 or 5-game lead.
Yeah, they were in a good spot. And they've been getting their pieces back.
That's what I'm saying.
They're getting fully
So as much credit as they got last year for getting all the way to the World Series, if they don't get in this year, they deserve to get some heat for not making it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So
real quick,
we'll see what
we
happens.
Talked about the Giants.
Yep.
We talked about the Giants. This was when they were supposed to take off. When all these pitchers were supposed to get healthy and they were supposed to, and they didn't. So there's that. Just something to remember for next year.
Well, Robbie Ray really struggled this year.
Yeah. And then went down again.
And he's got to get healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What'd you say about guys rushing back from Tommy John?
Oh.
Ding, 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 ding.
He did awesome in his first start. That might be Shohei's only outing in the World Series.
5 innings from Shohei could make all the difference. We'll see. But anyway, good races going on right now. So we'll keep tabs on all that. And let's get to the Mets because Lindor seems like he's going to have some issues here. They're all waiting to get the results on the back. Britt Ghiroli is going to join us to update us and tell us what's going on. What was that? Was that?
Because I had to yawn. I wasn't covering my mouth.
Oh. I thought you were like signaling
he's
that.
I got his own horn.
I got home. Listen, I got home late last night from Palm Beach. I was up early.
Smoke signals.
It's been a day.
Oh, I thought you had the MRI results, and you're like, we'll be right back with Britt Ghiroli to talk about the Mets. All right, here we go. We're back. Let's spend 2 minutes on it now. I mean, I don't think it warrants a ton of attention. I'm not even surprised about it, but Chris Getz came out and said that they're essentially not going to be players in free agency, talking about the White Sox. So we figure you weren't going to be good yet as a ball club. But what do bad teams do? I'll give you the quick example. They signed Aroldis Chapman last year. If you're the Kansas City Royals, you flip him at the deadline for Cole Reagans, and you get assets because you can't even get number 1 pick after number 1 pick anymore. Do you know what the White Sox pick number is next year? 10. So what is the pathway? It's a bad farm system. It's one of the worst teams of all time, and they're not going to spend to try and trade assets at the deadline. Now, they're spend a little bit, but it didn't sound like they were going to spend much because obviously they didn't make a lot of money this year. So what is the plan? What is the plan?
You know how you make money?
What?
Spend money.
Spend money.
Ooh-wee.
You have to get assets. You have to buy assets. The only way to...
Okay, let me ask you this. And I've had this conversation with friends of mine that are White Sox fans.
Yeah.
If you're a White Sox fan and you're on the brink of losing, they're at 115, okay?
Yeah.
They more than likely will get to over 120, which is the all-time record, okay? Then your GM goes on your broadcast and says, we're not even going to try to improve next year. We're just going to go with the guys we have from this year who lost you 120 plus games. Hope they improve. Now, should they improve? I mean, let's not forget, they have Crochet. Are they going to keep him?
He gone.
Okay.
Luis Roberts probably gone too.
Okay. So that's their two arguably best players.
So over under 129.
Makata's not coming back. There's no Eloy.
Next year? Yeah. They're going to lose 130 next year?
No, there's no way. First of all, if they lose more But here's the thing. If they go from 123, 122 losses to 110 next year, they'd be like, see, we're improving, guys. Everybody come out. Let's get 3 million. Brooks Boyer will say, let's get 3 million to the ballpark, everybody, because we lost 12 less games.
Well, they expected 110 this year, so maybe they're expecting 110
But do you see what I'm
year.
saying?
Yeah,
like, I don't know how you can say this to fan base after what they rebuild and their loss, right? And the fans, they're trying to get a new stadium. They're on a new TV channel next year. And then they're like, oh, by the way, we're also not trying again next year.
Yeah.
So when are they going to start trying?
That is insane. With the cost of relievers at this trade deadline, they should be signing any guy they can to a 1-year deal and then flipping them all at the deadline.
When it gets to like January and there's those guys that are left out there, sign them all.
Yeah, you need to. The 1-year deals. You have to. Hey, our buddy, our good friend, Britt Ghiroli from The Athletic joining us right now. We'll go through, a few different topics. We'll cover the sport nationally. See, Kratz lights up. He does like jazz shoulders when you're coming through. We haven't seen you in a minute, so it's good to see. We've been
I
really.
like the White Sox talk. It was exciting. I agree with everything you guys said.
Is there anything exciting about the White Sox, honestly, Britt? I mean, honestly, what's exciting? Okay, think about the Orioles. Even when the Orioles were at their lowest level, the Nats, after they went all the way down to the bottom, right? They still were trying to get some players to come in, right? The Orioles at least said, all right, we have a plan. We're drafting high. We're getting Holiday, and we're getting all these guys. Boom. Henderson and Kowser, and boom, 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 boom. And then the White Sox, they can't draft higher than 10th next year because of the new rules.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, we're going to lose 120-plus games, and we're going to bring back the same team next year to see if we get better. Like, the Orioles fans would have been like, we're not coming, right?
Yeah, well, I guess if I'm the White Sox, I'm not thinking about the Orioles or some of those teams. I'm thinking about the Royals and what they've done. They lost 100 games last year. And what did they do? They spent almost $110 million in free agency. So why can't you do that and wait for your young guys? Why can't you bridge? That would be my question. Why can't you look at what Kansas City has done and say, hey, maybe we can't get this done on player development and scouting alone, or maybe we're 5-6 years away from that. So why not give our fans something to feel better about now while still building for the future? Why does it have to be either or now with all these teams? That you can't tank like you could tank for when Houston got good, when Baltimore got good. That blueprint doesn't exist anymore, and many GMs have discussed how difficult that is. The Orioles had to hit on pretty much every draft pick. And then they had to find guys like Gunnar Henderson, who was not taken in the first round, which seems nonsensical now. But looking back, I mean, a lot of teams were a little worried because he was a risky guy. So not only do you have to have above average drafting, you have to have above average player development, and you have to make sure that every guy hits. So I guess my question would be the White Sox would, why not look at the Royals and what they did last offseason? Why can't you replicate that? Every team can spend that kind of money. It wasn't like they spent $500 million, right? They spent $100 million on 6 or 7 players. Why can't every team do that?
Yeah, and we're at a time when that is taking advantage of the system. That is how you suddenly crack through to the playoffs and make history like that, to go from 100-plus losses to being a playoff team. Like, they're in. So let's talk about other contenders that are on the fringe here, okay? Part of the reason why we wanted to say hello to you again is we also see you on SNY all the time. And the Mets are a super sexy story right now. They're contenders. They're even with the Braves. Now you have the Lindor injury drama. Where are you at on the Mets right now in their playoff race?
Well, obviously this changes if all of a sudden the MRI results of Lindor is that he can't play for the rest of the year, right? But I do think it's funny because they are a super sexy storyline, but how they got here isn't that sexy. Like, when you look at last year, that was the star-studded team. I've talked to people in that organization who have said there's a couple things that really have gone their way. One, their really bad stretch was at the beginning of the year. If you remember in 2022, the Mets were really good and they saved all their bad play for the end of the year. They gave away the division. They kind of went limping into things, and it was a mess. They've already gotten most of their bad play out of their system, and they feel like the whole year they've been playing with their backs against the walls. And without Verlander, without Scherzer, without some of these stars, the clubhouse has really taken on Francisco Lindor's personality, which is very laid back and very calm and very reassuring. And what I think new GM David Stearns has done is he's addressed the depth issues. So many of these star-studded teams, and we saw this mistake with the Mets last year, and we saw it with the Padres to some extent last year as well too, is the lack of depth. You can fall in love with these stars, but we know in baseball that it doesn't matter. It's often your second, third line of guys that are playing in these games. And that's what I think the Mets have done a really good job at. They made small moves at the deadline to upgrade their bullpen. You look at what they did in the offseason in adding, Luis Severino and Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea has completely reinvented himself. I think they did a great job in adding catching depth. You saw, as soon as they lose Jeff McNeil, they have Iglesias, who has been terrific at second base. So I think what they've really done is they've kind of created this team that is deep, that feels like it has to win every night because they started in such a big hole. And then you look at Lindor, who's having an MVP season. You can't convince me otherwise. Somebody said to me, listen, I know it's a beauty pageant contest. I know Shohei Ohtani is pretty, but Francisco Lindor is pretty too. He should win the MVP, especially if he takes his Mets to a wild card berth after the season that they started with. I didn't even think we would be talking about a relevant team in August. And I think it's really a testament to Carlos Mendoza, who surrounded himself with veteran staff coaches. He could have very easily been worried about adding guys like John Gibbons as his bench coach, looking over his shoulder when they started poorly. But this is a guy who has confidence and never panicked. And I think that mattered a lot to this team too. So really all of these little things have added up to make the Mets really a great storyline, even though they're not the star-studded roster of last year. They weren't predicted to be good. I think a lot of players really struggled with those expectations last year. It got so bad that players were kind of told, hey, stay off of social media. I think, and, AJ and Kratzy, you can talk about this, I'm sure, all day long, but, having those kinds of expectations and falling so far on your face, it's embarrassing. And, they really struggled to rebound from any of that. So all of that is gone. All of that is different. And this Mets team is like a really fun team to root for. They're very gritty. And I think they're going to surprise a lot of people if they get in.
AJ wants the next question, but he can't have it because he just wants to tell you that you are a homer now for the Mets. And we can hear your homerism. So that's what he wants to tell you.
I have no problem being negative about the Mets. No problem.
Okay. That's fair. But do they make the playoffs? That is, you went on a diatribe of so many great information. We don't know if Lindor is going to be back.
Oh.
They don't have many games back. Do they make the playoffs?
Are we saying Lindor is playing? If Lindor is playing, I think they sneak in. If he's not, there's not a chance. There's not a chance.
You have to make the decision. You have to make the decision.
If Lindor is on the field, yes, I think that they do sneak in. Their schedule is very tough, though. They have the toughest schedule of all these playoff contenders. They have to go play Philly again. They just lost that series against Philly. They have to go right back and play Philly later this week. So I do think they have tough sledding. I do think it's a very tough road. However, I think that they are a team that's going to make it. I do like them over the Braves, just slightly. The Braves, had they won and completed it, had they won last night against the Dodgers, would I have felt a little bit differently? Maybe. It's that time of year, guys. 1 or 2 games, enough to swing me. I'm constantly on the fence. I live on the fence.
Kratz is right. Homer.
I can't win around here. We can bash the Orioles if you want.
Oh no, Scott's about to ask you about them, why they stink all of a sudden. So that's your next thing you can homer on.
I will rightfully admit that. I think. Listen, I criticize when it's fair. When it's fair game to criticize. If you just Google my name and Mets, I have been very, very vocal about when they're bad and when they have organizational issues as well. With the Orioles, guys, they've been under 500 since July. Which I know some teams have had up and downs and stuff. I know there's been bad stretches from every playoff contender, but I think it's kind of floated under the radar how bad the Orioles have been. And let me tell you, that lineup has been really bad. They just lost the series to Detroit. Adley Rutschman, since he got hit on the hand in June, has been the worst hitter in that lineup. Now, people are speculating if he's hurt. I don't know if he's hurt or not. He attests that he's not hurt. He homered for the first time in a month yesterday in that game they lost. But that lineup has been just absolutely brutal. And I think if you're the Orioles, you're concerned. This is the same team that went missing against the Texas Rangers and was swept out of the playoffs. So, there's been a lot of problems. So I think if you're the Orioles, you look at that schedule. We talked about the Mets. They've got to play the Yankees still. I mean, the Orioles have a tough schedule as well. And right now, they might not even host the wild card, which is crazy. This is a team that I think people were expecting to come down into the wire for the AL East. The Yankees are running away with it right now, and the Orioles are showing no signs of life.
Yeah.
How's that, AJ?
That was the truth. It was the truth.
Strong. I thought that was strong.
That was the truth.
Do they have a problem with not going for the jugular? And maybe it's hard to criticize because we just saw the ownership change. So we're going to see what happens this offseason with their payroll. But their trade deadline was underwhelming, wasn't it? This is the team that has it all. New owner with deeper pockets, not going to criticize you if you add someone or two. And they did. They added Zach Eflin's money. That's real. I get that. And I liked that move. But they have all the prospects in the world. You expect them in a year like this to really go for it. I mean, it's not like we have these clear-cut favorites. The Dodgers' rotation is falling apart. This could be the year that the Orioles win the World Series. So do you feel like they really blew it at the trade deadline?
I feel like you tapped my phone, Scott, because before this, I was on the phone with another executive, and I brought up this exact same point. I said, this is 2 trade deadlines in a row that they haven't been aggressive enough in my mind. And last year when they got swept, I wrote that they weren't aggressive enough in adding a starting pitcher. And people got upset at me because it was like, oh, this was a bonus year. It's the start of our window. Okay, fair. But they won the American League East last year. They had over 100 wins last year. No longer was it like a cute story. They were expected to win this year. And I think when you look at what they did at the trade deadline, and I understand, Mike Elias met with reporters. I was there the day or two after, saying that there were 2 or 3 teams who really could have shaped the deadline, who decided that they weren't going to be sellers, right? So it really was tough to be a buyer. However, Tanner Scott was out there. The Padres rebuilt their bullpen. And the Orioles again took flyers on guys that I think they thought they could fix. Trevor Rogers from Miami. That's a trade that's looking, very lopsided right now. Getting Soto from Philly. They got some relievers that really weren't trusted. Soto wasn't trusted in high leverage spots in Philly. And again, an avenue where I think they thought they could fix him, and that hasn't been the case either. So, they've been a league average pitching staff for like the last month or two. The story has been that they haven't been able to hit, as I said earlier. But I do think at some point in time, when your window is open and you're expected to win, and you have these young guys that are cheap and they're under team control, and you're not going to be able to keep the Rutschmans and the Hendersons and all these guys together, this is the time to go in. This is the time to push your chips forward. You traded for Corbin Burns, who's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. I thought they could have been a little more aggressive, even if it meant giving up a piece of the future. I was really disappointed with this trade deadline, and I think this will be 2 in a row that if they have an early exit, they maybe have to reevaluate what they do in July and how they construct this team to better set it up for the second half of the season.
But, okay, I have to ask, is this a Mike Elias thing or is this an ownership thing? Because is this Mike Elias
that's where it gets tricky.
Because is this Mike Elias saying, I'm going to hoard all my prospects? Because he did give up some prospects for a guy in AAA, right? So that they were counting on. Or is this an ownership thing saying, hey, great, you got Corbin Burns. He's a 1-year rental. He'll leave next year. You have to target Eflin. You have to target guys that are controllable for more than this year to keep our payroll at a certain point. Because what we were hearing is, hey, you got this new owner. The payroll is going to start going. Maybe this is the owners coming to him and saying, hey, we want controllable guys that have to stay on the same level.
I'd be surprised if ownership came in, especially because Elias said we will be able to add this year to payroll at the deadline. Mike Elias was pretty clear that they could do what they wanted to do. Now, could he be, of course, doing what many GMs do, which is shielding ownership from that kind of stuff? Sure. But I think, if you look at how low their payroll is, it's not like they're carrying this crazy payroll where they needed to, keep pushing and get special permission to go where they've never gone before. Like, they were a team that used to carry top 10 payrolls when they were good, when I was on that beat. They are capable of doing that again. I think a lot of it is trying to keep that window open as long as possible, trying to hold on to as many prospects as possible. They're good now, so they're not picking, number 1 anymore. The rules have changed, as I mentioned, with tanking. And I think a lot of it is with these front offices, and it's not just Mike Elias, guys, as you have seen. I mean, the Minnesota Twins, and I can name 5 other teams that just weren't aggressive enough at the deadline, because I think a lot of these front offices get very risk averse, and they fall into the habit of, Let's just improve around the margins a little bit. If it works, great. If it doesn't set us back too far. But the problem is when it doesn't work like this, and your team also isn't playing well, like the Orioles lineup is not playing well, then the whole thing all blows up in your face and it looks like a disaster. So it's a combination to me of a couple things, but I don't think it was ownership saying you can't spend any more money. I don't think Tanner Scott was breaking the bank. I mean, look at what some of these more aggressive teams did. Look at what the Royals did, right? Like, I think enough teams just aren't aggressive at the trade deadline now because they view it as a very risky proposition. Even with that third wild card, they'd rather be a team that kind of just misses out or kind of tries rather than pushing all their chips in. There just aren't that many AJ Prellers of the world.
I have to go back to something you said about the Mets and banning players from being on social media. Was this a real thing? And what is the reasoning for something like that?
So they weren't banning them. I want to make sure that's clear. They were just wondering, should we tell these guys to maybe take a break from social media because it was that bad? This team was supposed to be a World Series. They won the World Series in the winter, the Mets last year. So once they came out and they stumbled, I think it was very tough for the clubhouse, very tough for guys to deal with, the constant barrage that Twitter and Instagram and some of these platforms, you can get from fans and fan bases. So it was a discussion in there. Nobody was saying you can't go, I don't want this to be a headline I see somewhere. Nobody was saying these players can't be on social media, but they were internally saying, like, how do we keep these guys focused? How do we keep this from going off the rails? And none of that has happened this year because the bar was set so low already in the winter. They hadn't really done anything. And they started so miserably that I think people thought by August we'll have forgotten all about the Mets. So it was kind of the reverse of what happened last year. And I think that helped the clubhouse. There were no expectations. There were nobody saying, oh my God, this team was supposed to win the World Series. We're out of it in May. There was none of that. So when they started playing better and better and better, that kind of snowballed in a good direction versus last year when it just kept snowballing, led to the fire sale, obviously GM managerial change and all the stuff that follows. So just like a totally different vibe than this year when I'm sure for the most part, the players are getting pretty positive messages on social media. Again, this is New York. It's not the friendliest place all the time, but I do think the vibe around the Mets for the most part, especially the past few weeks, has been really good.
Yeah,
because they've been winning.
They've been winning, but also they're letting them do their thing.
They're letting them do their thing. They have the grimace,
months
OMG.
ago when they were not in a great spot, and then all of a sudden they're having fun. So I think this is just a good time for a quick lesson for all of baseball. If you're telling your players not to do anything and they just need to focus on baseball and they can't do anything else in life, it sounds to me like the players might be pressing if that's the case. I'm doing this as a blanket statement around the league from a show that brings on players every single day, all year long. Sometimes we get no's and that player immediately struggles and we talk behind the scenes about it and go, oh, that player couldn't spare me. Fine, me. Blame it all on me, okay? Because we know what the scheduling looks like. And sometimes you'll get a young player on a crappy team and it's September and they'll be like, oh, he can't do anything now. He's just got to focus on baseball. We'll check back in a few months. And it's like, okay, people have other situations going on. But if you can't have a little fun for 10 minutes, I'm concerned about how you're going to do on the field. That's me.
Shohei hasn't been on. You want him to pitch in the playoffs.
He's a unicorn. He's different.
What about Ellie?
He doesn't do any
been on, and
interviews.
you love him.
Ellie's coming soon.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yes. And Ellie didn't say no to us, so that one doesn't count. But I'm saying there are certain, but we're not going to. You want to just spend?
Sorry, Britt. There's a whole lot of things you've missed. Scott needs to sit down on the couch.
No, there's not that much. My point was just let's have fun, let's live life. I don't want to limit anyone, right? I think. What if you were told in the clubhouse of a team, whether it's a really good team, bad team, fringe team, hey AJ, we don't want you doing much right now. Just play. Don't do anything ever. Wouldn't you be like, it's going to make me feel weird every day?
They would never do that.
Why?
Because then first thing I would do is go to the media and be like, oh, they told me I can't talk to you guys.
Yeah. But that was why AJ was so media friendly. Yeah.
How would that work out?
It's changed.
Britt, can you imagine if you came up to me after a game and you were like, hey, you guys just beat Baltimore by 10 runs. How'd you feel? And I'm like, oh, I was told by blank team not to talk to you guys because we're playing too good right now. What would your reaction would have been? What are you guys crazy? Like, what? We have a job to do.
Exactly. Well, we would have quoted you exactly. We would have called MLB and filed a complaint through the BBWAA. Yeah, it would have been a whole mess. I will say, though, as you guys can attest, there are 10, 15 years ago, players were a lot more willing to speak their mind. Nowadays, there is much more, I think, like hands-on with that stuff of like, oh, like, there's a PR person in a scrum listening, or everything gets approved, go through a team official instead of just calling a guy. There is a lot more I think pains to go through to get guys to come and just talk and just be themselves. I think guys are much more hesitant than they were when you guys were playing to talk to the media, to interact with the media, to show who they are. The people who say what they think in baseball, it's a little bit of a dying breed. The Scherzers of the world, the Verlanders of the world. Like, are they going to be replaced? Are we going to have new superstars who say what they think? Because I don't really think we have that right now.
Yeah, we have them. Grayson Rodriguez, Tarek Skubal. There's some guys. You see them on FT, but you're right. We are definitely fighting the good fight. So I'm actually being told to stop talking because there's 10 minutes left to show and we got to take a break. But this was good. Britt, great to catch up. I knew it would go down this path. Everyone check out our articles in The Athletic, and we'll catch you soon, okay?
All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you. You're the best. Britt Ghiroli with us on FT. Picks, locks, the whole deal. Next. You want to talk about Heliot Ramos and the McCovey Cove homer?
See,
Kratz thought that Sosa did it, but no one's done it. No one's gone righty pop to the Cove.
No, I know. That's what I was going to say. It's amazing he's the first right-handed hitter to do it.
It's been a long time.
But you know what's funny is what I say, 105 there, 104 or 105. Like I hit like the 34th, and that was 20 years ago. I mean, there's not a lot of them.
No.
There's not a lot of balls that go in the water, and it's not that far.
It's not?
It's really not that far. If you go out there and you it's like 305 down the line.
Right, but then how far is it
it's
to
not
make
that
it
far.
to the Cove?
It's really not that far.
35, 40 feet, something like that?
Yeah, it's really not that far. You'd be surprised.
Okay.
If you ever go there, you should go
I've been there, but it must be really difficult.
Yeah.
I've never played. You guys played, so it hasn't happened that often.
Right-handed Oppo homers there were like few and far between forever.
Okay.
This is why, Suarez? What's the closer for the Padres? Suarez, right?
For the Padres, Robert Suarez. Yes.
Suarez. That's why he needs to throw more breaking balls because remember Parker Meadows went Oppo and now Heliot Ramos went Oppo off of him.
He's actually been kind of cold the past month.
Dude, he's throwing 107. He's giving up Oppo homers. I mean,
tip your cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't want that in the playoffs.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, they still won the game.
Yeah, but you got to. Hey, baseball fans want a perfect team, and otherwise they're going to say what's wrong with so and so. That's just how the game works, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
By the way, there's so many cool things at San Francisco's park if you like dig into it.
It's really good. It's a top 3 park.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's up there too.
Pittsburgh's up
but
there.
You know the glove they have out there in the.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a thing one time where I got to climb into it with a TV show, and the lady who designed it, she hangs her underwear in them. So if you climb up it, her underwear hanging in one of the fingers.
No way.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about that in this TV show?
Was it a long time ago? Sports show.
Okay, so it was a long time ago.
Yeah,
so
it was a long. It was when
news.
I was playing there, so that's 20 years ago.
Okay,
I think it was with Leanne Tweeden. Remember her?
No,
she was on like Leanne Tweeden. She was a big deal.
Okay, TV host.
Yeah.
All right, so there is a little capture the flag inside of the.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It was always the rumor, so I was like, I'm going to find out. And I climbed up in the thing.
And it was there.
It was there?
Wow. All right, let's try and impress our producer Claudia right now and do an actual 2-minute, because it's Monday night, 2-minute warning to give our picks. I lost, Kratz, and of course Todd Father won on Friday. Moneybags updated. Todd Father is now past the $5,000 mark. Dude, he is insane. It's
unbelievable.
He's 24-8. I mean, this has to hit headlines soon. So anyway, let's stay on the clock. Kratz, you go first.
Dodgers run line paying at plus 145. They're facing Max Fried. They normally struggle against lefties, but Max Fried struggles against lefties. Shohei is 3 for 3 with a dinger off him. Shohei might take care of the run line himself for us.
Nice.
All right, I'm going Imanaga over 6.5. Plus, the White Sox can't win 3 games in a row. Prove me wrong. I'm taking the Angels money line plus 197.
There you go. And I'll go Phillies Brewers tonight. It's going to be a fun series. I've got the Brew Crew at plus a hundo. I'm just fading Ranger Suarez. I mean, I watched him give up 12 knocks last time out. Velo was down. He's pitching a lot. Just not sure if he's healthy. I like to bet on games like this. Sometimes I get burned and they make an adjustment, but it's Velo. It wasn't command. Savali's been decent. Bullpen is feeling it for the Brewers right now. They're coming off a big weekend, so we'll see what happens. I'll throw down 100 to try and win 100. And if you're new to the BetMGM Sportsbook app, FOUL is the code to use, FOUL, for your first bet offer. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into that account. Place your first wager. You can get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. And if that does happen, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be right back to slap hands and talk about the next Shohei Ohtani who could be coming soon to Major League Baseball. Here we go. Getting some fans asking about specific players too. Brandon said, need Goldie on here. Would love to hear some stories from him. I know he's fairly private. Yes. Goldie's tough. Tough to crack.
Didn't really talk.
No. He will if you get him going.
Yeah,
he's smart,
just so,
but
yeah.
it's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Great guy. Nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy. I mean, and he's towards the end of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be real. I mean, next year, he says he's coming back right now. We'll see what the market says, and then that could be it. Wouldn't be surprised, right?
Maybe.
Based on the age. I think he's in his
37, 38.
37, something like that. Yeah, he's deep into his 30s, so it's a good call. And our friend Susie said Lindor is the straw that stirs the drink. How Lindor goes, so goes the Mets. Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody's waiting to hear what happens here. I do still think the Mets are good, even without Lindor for a week and a half. Like, he's not a one-man machine.
Mm-hmm. No, but he is the straw. He's not Reggie, but he's the straw.
Yeah, because you're getting elite defense and clutch hit after clutch hit. But the reason that they have been this good is the rest of the offense can hit, right? There's plenty of other effective bats there. And this is big. I was going over this the other day with someone. They have been healthy. Health is one of the keys to making it through a season and being a surprise team. Look at the Mets roster right now. Who's out where you're like, oh my gosh, they're missing so-and-so. Like Senga, who's on his way back. Who else? Almost everybody on that roster is playing right now. How often do you get that at this point in the year? Look at them versus the Braves. Teams. Like, the reason that the Mets and Braves are so close is the Mets have everyone. The Braves have lost everyone. That's the biggest X factor. You're shaking your head, Kratz. Do you agree? Like, look at the roster. I went through it. I'm like, they're not missing much right now.
No, they were missing Marte. Nimmo was... I think he's been healthy the whole year. Bader had a little stint on the IL.
Yeah.
Francisco Alvarez, ever since he's been back, bang, the Mets have been killing it. And we didn't think their pitching was going to stand up this long in the season. So, yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Just food for thought for everyone. And I know someone else was asking Emily about Yelich. We've had him on.
He owes us one, too, because remember?
He's supposed to come on again.
He owes me one. Because he told me if I got him to DH, I got him to DH.
Kratz gave us
he knows.
Okay.
I'll be in Milwaukee on Thursday. I'll make sure I let him know again.
There you go. Yeah. Just a little pre-playoff chat would be nice with Yelly.
I'll make Murph embarrass him into coming home.
That's easy. Next two-way sensation coming to Major League Baseball is Pablo Sandoval. 5 scoreless innings. He's still playing indie ball. It's fun, though. I mean, that's awesome. He's playing, having a good time, and then he's legit trying to pitch right now. I mean, in all seriousness for San Francisco, Bryce Eldridge is an actual two-way player. We've spoken to him on the show. You should look him up because he played 9 games in AA, and then the Giants are like, whoop, move him up to AAA now. So that's where he is. He's 19 years old, 6'7", and looks like he's capable of hitting and pitching at the next level. So that's actually real. That's the one where I'm serious. Panda is joking, but he's actually doing it.
I mean, the highlights I saw was a lot of, which is cool.
We'll get him on here and talk about it. We'll get him on here.
Panda?
We got pushed to get him on here.
Panda?
I got
You have a
people
Panda
working
hookup?
on it. Yep.
Okay. Love that. Also, did you see Matt Adams retired?
Yeah, Big City.
Big
One of
City.
my all-time favorite homers off Kershaw in 2014 NLDS.
Yep. He was a fun player to watch.
He was a great guy. Big City. Love you, pal.
Oh, yeah, you played
Congratulations
with
on
him.
a great career. Huh?
Yeah, you played with him,
Yeah,
right?
in 2014.
Yeah. Good dude?
Great dude.
Yeah.
Great guy. Remember, dude, he could rake, and then he went and he's like, the Cardinals, I think, we got to lose a lot of weight. And then he lost all his power. And I'm like, dude, maybe let's
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Bring back the burgers. That was like CeCe on the mound. Lose all that weight. And he's like, I don't feel the same. I'm going to eat.
Yeah. Big City. Great
Yeah.
nickname, too.
Are you on a text basis? Can we bring him on? Does he like doing that stuff?
Who, Matt Adams?
Yeah.
He's kind of a...
Not into it. He's
No.
pretty active on social media these
Yeah,
days.
he's a great guy. I don't know if he doesn't love to talk. I can shoot him and ask
If he's
him.
interested in just reminiscing for 10 minutes, I feel like Cardinals fans would appreciate it.
Yeah.
Beyond just, he wrote a really nice note on IG. I read
He
it
did.
late last night. So congratulations to him. I've been told also we have Christian Walker joining the show later this week
Sweet.
for the first time.
Hopefully it's Thursday.
And AJ
I will
Hinch.
double check that. Oh, and AJ Hinch. Kratz hats while I'm checking. Tomorrow for Walker. There you go.
I mean, it's Paul Skeens Day. How can you not wear a Pirates hat on Paul Skeens Day? Maybe his last start of the year. He's about to eclipse how many innings he had last year. Just saying.
Boom. There you go. Also on Wednesday, the pseudo closer for the Yankees, Tommy Kahnle. He got the save, right?
Yep.
Yeah. He's going to join us as well, which is always a wild ride. So we'll look forward to that one. That was a fun Monday. See you Tuesday. Hey, how we doing? We got 2 more minutes for the YouTube crowd. Hope you enjoyed it today. So we can bring this up for 2 minutes because I don't think it's a headline grabber, but Nick Kroll would not give the vote of confidence for David Bell to return for his 7th season as Red skipper. He said, quote, he's got a contract for next year. As of right now, we're going to evaluate everything at the end of the year and see what we have to do to move forward. Is it fair, though? Is it
Most disappointing
Bell's
team
fault?
of the year. Yes or
really?
no? I'm asking.
Oh, it's up there. I don't know if it's most disappointing. Really?
Who's more
Who would be
disappointing?
more?
Giants? Maybe, but
Giants. For me, the Giants are more
and the Reds
disappointing.
are probably 1-2.
No?
Who?
Reds.
Oh yeah,
Reds.
I was to say who else?
Reds, for sure.
Rangers?
The run they made last year, and like this, and then if you told me at the beginning of the season that pitching staff was going to step up, Hunter Green was going to have the year that he had. I mean, Lodolo's on and off the IL all the time, but this pitching staff the starting rotation has been awesome, and they fell on their face. I think this is rightly so. David Bell, he's got a contract for next year. I don't think he should be fired, but could be on the hot seat. Like, they need to turn around. They need to have a fast start next year.
Yeah.
Maybe the Reds in the National League and the Blue Jays in the American League are the two.
I like the Giants as a good call. I think the Cubs should be on there. I know we were underwhelmed with their offseason, but did you think that they were going to be like this?
They're over 500.
I know, but timely over 500. Like, they kind of weren't in it for the most part.
Or kind of like the Reds were timely over 500 last year, right around 500.
Yeah. And they didn't
Got
make
timely
it.
hot at the end.
And they still didn't do anything, though, remember, at the trade deadline either. They acquired Sam, what's his name? Mole or whatever. What's his name?
Mm-hmm.
Sammy
Mole.
Spinray. That's it. That's all they did. So that's up there. Hey, if the Twins end up missing the playoffs, that's going to be a disappointment right there.
They won't.
Based off the momentum they had last year, you were covering that series. That place was lit.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. Yeah, I know. Kratz saying they're in. So anyway, Juan Toribio, who covers the Dodgers, is joining DT. So if you're with us right now, you can just hang around and watch Alana, Clint, and Juan go over all of the madness with
It's
the
Oral
Dodgers right
Hershiser's
now.
birthday. They should have had him on.
Oh, I didn't know that. He's been on. They had Matt Kemp on the other day, and he was good. That's a good one, too, if you want to look it up. But anyway, enjoy DT. We'll see everyone on Tuesday's FT.